Hi, everyone. My name is Pete Ferrari, and welcome to the Super Self podcast series. As we know, this series centers around all things that are health and well-being, brought to you by Jaca Rare Sugar. Today, we're going to discuss community. You heard me say it many different ways: orbit, atmosphere, community, support system. But really, the folks that we have around us, the people that we have around us, have such a significant impact on our lives in every way, shape, or form, positively or negatively, that it's really important to recognize this. And I'm going to share with you some pretty hard experiences from my past, some bold and drastic moves that I've had to make as a function of what I was faced with my surroundings. And perhaps you could glean some wisdom from that. Perhaps you could apply it to your particular individual style, and maybe it will help. So, you've heard me say it, the moods that we project onto other people impacts their moods and how they project back onto us. You've heard me talk about when we get proper sleep, when we get proper nutrition, when we have our fitness regimen in control and the mind, body, soul connection is in harmony, we are performing better, we are in a better mood, we're more patient, we're more tolerant. And when we give that energy, I guess that's a hippie way to say it, but when we give those moods onto other people, that puts them in a particular mood, and then they project that happiness and that health and that well-being right back onto us. Well, it could also be called proximity to power. That's the business term. And that was something that I was very conscious of when I was coming up in the business world. I always wanted to try to find myself proximate to power. Didn't need to be the smartest guy in the room, not the smartest guy in the room. Just needed to find myself in a situation where I was around people that had experience, around people that were judicious, ethical, around people that were ambitious and had proper values, so that I could really just learn by watching, really just absorb what they were doing, and then try to make that a part of my own persona in accordance with my own lifestyle. And it really has benefited me throughout the years because, as we all know, the tide lifts all boats. So when we're surrounded by a very healthy ecosystem, when we're surrounded by people that genuinely care about us and genuinely value us, then that's something that is going to give rise to everybody. And it could only mean good things, even through the hardships, when you've got the support that you need and people are genuinely interested in helping you. And unfortunately, the converse is true. When you are faced with cancer, when you are faced with toxicity, those people around you that are always even just making sniping comments, passive-aggressive comments, the worst, in my opinion, the worst kind of action there can be is passive aggression. If you're going to be aggressive and you're going to try to hurt somebody, be aggressive about it. Don't make sniping little offhanded comments that are passive but kind of make their mark. That's just cowardly. Be bold. If you're going to try to take somebody down, do it like a man, do it like a woman, do it like a boss. At any rate, that toxicity, that cancer, it's going to surround you like a shroud. It's going to impact, again, your moods. It's going to impact the way you sleep. It's going to impact your diet because your degrees of stress eating or not. Thereby extension, it's going to impact how you treat the people around you that you love and that you care for, and how they're going to in turn treat you back. So it's something that it's difficult to contend with sometimes, but I've had to do this in my business life and in my personal life many times. I remember one of my first startups, my best friend and I, it was the early 90s, and we were building a internet company, and we had a database guy who was an absolute expert with Sybase, a relational database. He built our entire system, and we're an e-com, we're a technology company. Everything relied upon this particular tech guy. We built the entire IT team around him. And what ended up happening was he got way too big for his britches. He started making demands. He started coming in late. He started taking extra long lunches. He started doing whatever he wanted to do because he knew how reliant upon him we were. He knew that we literally couldn't launch. We were approaching the launch date. We couldn't launch without him. And so he got froggier and froggier and bolder with regard to his actions and how important he felt he was. Well, I fire, period. Nobody is indispensable. And if you go back through all the business books I've read and also written throughout the years through white papers or articles or otherwise, we talk about the fact that it doesn't matter if you've got the number one sales rep in the company who is bringing in the deals, who is solely responsible for you making payroll for the entire rest of the company. If that guy's a cancer and he's impacting the entire rest of the team, bringing the entire rest of the sales team down, impacting their moods, impacting their ability to perform, impacting their desire, their ambition, their daily work, he needs to get cut. I've done it many, many, many times. I've done it after 2 days. I've done it after 2 weeks. I've done it after 2 years. Nobody is indispensable if they are not performing in accordance with the values that they should be espousing as they are surrounded by people, working with people, interacting with people day to day. And I've never one time been sorry. And the people that I thought that I couldn't live without, what ended up happening the very next day, when I had the weight of the world on my shoulders because I didn't think I was going to be able to survive without this person, invariably after I clipped them and I came in the next morning, walking into the office, it was like I had an albatross lifted from my back. It was like I had an elephant on my shoulders the whole time and I didn't even know it. The relief that I felt after getting rid of the cancer, cutting it out, no matter how important it was supposed to be, was immeasurable. And in turn, the entire company responded. People would come up to me and say, wow, I thought we were dead in the water without this guy. I am in the best mood today. I can't wait to work. We'll get it done, Pete. We'll figure it out, Pete. People stepped up because they finally were again motivated and excited to work because they didn't have this toxicity around them, like this blanket of disrepair. So it's super, super important in a business context, but also in a personal context. And that's really the hard one, is the personal component. And I'll share with you, this is a hard story. I haven't told this story many, many times at all, but about 22 years ago, my daughter's 22. About 22 years ago, a couple of people, I'm not going to say who they were, but will say they were in my immediate family. So that shows you how close they were to me. They were fucking with my wife and daughter. We were living in Boston. We had a tech company of ours acquired, and I went on board and took over a division of the acquiring company. So that mandated a move to Boston. And that's where my family's from, Connecticut, grew up in Connecticut. And these couple of people in my family were not treating my wife and my infant daughter properly, the way that I was treating them and their infant children. And at first, it was merely noteworthy. Then I decided to talk to them about it. Hey, here's what I'm perceiving. Is everything okay? Naturally, making a bold move and a bombastic cut is not what's called for. What's called for, especially with family, is love and patience and tolerance. So ask them about it. Ask them if something was wrong. Ask them if there was anything I could do. The answer was no, everything's fine, everything's fine. But the actions continued. And there was dismissiveness, there was arrogance, there was behind the bat sniping, and it continued even after my above board conversation coming from the heart. Well, from there it stemmed into a warning. Hey, listen, this is still happening. I know you're doing it. Enough is enough. That's 2 to continue to get. This is my wife and this is my infant daughter. 3rd time, I cut them out. I cut them out of my life completely. It's been 22 years since I've talked to them. And I am not the least bit sorry. That cancer that was impacting, my wife was a new mother at that point. Think about what she was going through as a new mother. Forget about familial dynamics. Figuring out how to breastfeed, figuring out how to change a diaper, how to be up all night and still function, figuring out how to take care of this little person for the first time ever. Think about what she was faced with, and then to be handling these other dynamics, completely unnecessary, completely intolerable. Cut them out. And I'll share with you that it was the best move I ever made. I never, to this day, 20 plus years later, I never think about them. I never wonder what they're doing. I never miss them. I never say, gee, I really would like to reconcile. They were cancer. They showed their true colors. It doesn't matter if they were blood or not. They were impacting my family. I cut them out. Now, the degree of patience that individuals show based upon their tolerance levels, based upon their thresholds, everybody's different. I'm not saying 3 strikes and you're out is good for everybody. This is me. I'm very Sicilian. I'm very matter of fact. There's very little gray area in my life, as almost always black and white. So everybody needs to apply what I'm saying to their own style. But I will share with you that sometimes the hardest things in life are the most rewarding. And I remember I was on a podcast episode with my daughter. She was interviewing me for a class, her and a female basketball player. They had a class project and they were interviewing me about circle of love and circle of trust in our lives, talking about the people that are around us and talking about the emotions that we hold dear to us. Mine in particular was devotion. The most important emotion for me is devotion. I love being devoted to people that care about me. And I love having people be devoted to me if they care in return, because it just means so many things. It means they love me. It means they respect me. It means they'll help me. It means they'll support me. Devotion is such a beautiful, all-inclusive term. That's the primary emotion for me. But I remember this young girl basketball player, when we got into the conversation, she started to tell me about her teammates and her coach on the team. And she was speaking about the fact that she's super, super close to her teammates and her coach. And they're the ones that really, really help her when she's down. And they're the ones that she can go to for counsel. And they're the ones that are always trying to help her become a better person and never judging. She contrasted that with her direct family, her immediate family, who was trying to take her down, trying to snipe at her, bringing forth all the negativity. And she asked me how to reconcile that. And again, this is not for everybody, but apply it to your life and apply it to your personality. But here's what I told her. I said, the idea that blood is thicker than water is absolute nonsense. It means nothing. You're trying to tell me that just because somebody is a blood relation to you, they get a perpetual get out of jail free card forever? They can lie to you, they can cheat you, they can steal from you, they can malign you, they can berate you, they could do anything they want to you forever, and they're allowed to get away with it forever just because they're a blood relation? That does not compute on any level. It's completely illogical. It makes no sense. And what ends up happening is you are the victim. You're forever the victim. You're forever the downtrodden. You're forever the beaten one. And the fact that you permit this, it permeates every other component of your life. Because the people that are supposed to be the closest to you, people who are supposed to be protecting you the most, are the ones beating you down. What does that do to your psyche? What does that do to your mind-body-soul connection? What does that do to your moods? What does that do to your desire to eat properly as opposed to stress eating? What does that do to the way you sleep? You're supposed to tolerate that just because they're a blood relative? Absolutely not. The people that show devotion to you, your teammates and your coach, they genuinely care. They're there for you in the middle of the night to listen to you cry. They're there for you if you need $15 so that you can buy yourself lunch because you don't have any money. Those are the people that are worthy of your time. Those are the people that deserve your devotion because they're showing you the same in return. And it's something also that came up on this podcast. My daughter never knew I was doing this until I said it. This was senior year. She just graduated. I said, I'll tell you something, ladies. Never in my life have I ever said to Kita one time, well, I'm your father, so you need to respect me. So I apply everything I say to everybody in these podcasts. Best believe I've turned the mirror on myself, and I'm not a hypocrite. It's one of the lowest forms of human being. When you tell somebody else to do something and then you don't do it yourself. I turned the mirror on myself. And I told them flatly, I had never, ever said, you need to respect me, I'm your father. Because the bottom line is, if I'm doing something dirty, if I'm doing something that is not to be respected, then don't respect me, period. And my daughter kind of got this look on her face. We were on a Zoom call. And I said, what's going on, Kita? And she said, never realized it, but you never in your life have said to me, I'm your father. You're my father. You need to respect me. I said, no, I haven't. And I said, Kita, that's the thing about being a parent. You don't tell the children what you're doing. You just do it. So, this is what I'm talking about. You have got to realize toxicity equals toxicity. Cancer equals cancer. There's no blood barrier in between. It is simply the mind-body-soul connection, keeping it pure, keeping it healthy, keeping it full of nutrition, keeping it full of warmth, keeping it full of beauty, so that your life comes into focus. You treat others with that same type of purpose, and then in return, they feel better and they treat you in return similarly. So it's something that I think we can really take a lesson from. It also gives credence to the fact that we only have so much time, right? Time is the only thing that we have that we could truly put a value on. We control time that we spend on things. It's our only commodity. People tell us what we're worth when they're hiring us and they give us a salary or they give us an hourly wage. People are putting a value on our friendship in terms of their wants and their desires and their needs. What we have that we completely control as a commodity is time. Why would we spend precious time, our most valuable asset, wasted on people that don't deserve it? Wasted on trying to change people that aren't going to change? Wasted on people that are never going to reciprocate and never going to do right by us? Why? Time is precious. Time is our most valuable asset. And I treasure my time. I make sure that my time is allocated across the 2 or 3 people in my life that mean the most to me. The 2 or 3 people in my life, by the way, only one of them is blood related. I'm sure you can guess who, but the other 2 are not, that have shown me devotion over the years, that have helped me out financially when I've been busted, that have listened to me vent and listened to me in the depths of my depression and kept me going and kept me pumped up. That's where I spend my time, making sure they know every day how important they are to me, making sure they know every day how much I love them, and reciprocating when they're down, dropping everything when they need me to, regardless of what's going on in my life. These are the circles of love that we can build, and we don't need to be concerning ourselves with things like, the blood is thicker than water component, or you need to do this because I'm your family component. That stuff just doesn't rate. It doesn't make sense. It's not logical. And so I think, when we're talking about, taking the high road, oh, well, this person's just the way they are, and they are my brother or my sister or my aunt or my uncle, so I'm just going to take the high road. Taking the high road is a nonsensical term in and of itself as well. What does take the high road mean? Take the high road means you allow yourself to get a beating. You allow yourself to lose, and you attribute it to some higher level of enlightenment in order to justify it. Why does that person get to forever win against you? Why does that person always get to beat you down? Why do you consistently rationalize it by saying, I'm taking the high road, when all it means is you're continuing to be the victor and you're continuing to lose across every aspect of the relationship? They're cheating, they're lying, they're stealing, they're betraying, they're talking shit, and you're taking the high road? Again, you're saying you're taking the high road to justify it and compartmentalize it, but what is it really doing for the mind-body-soul connection? What is it really doing for that harmony? How is it really impacting your desire to eat properly? How is it impacting your desire to get out there and do a little bit of exercise to work on yourself? How is it impacting your sleeping patterns? And how are those 3 things impacting how you're treating everybody else in your world, everybody else in your ecosystem? It's a delicate balance, but once you start to talk in these terms, it really becomes fairly basic. Some hard decisions may have to be made. Different thresholds will be put in place. Maybe people give 5, 6, 7 tries. Maybe people do things like write a letter to that person to have them heard, to be heard out. Maybe they record a letter, record a voice note. Maybe they send a text. Everybody's different. But I think the purpose of this episode is to help you recognize that we've got to protect ourselves. And protecting ourselves really means ensuring for the quality of our community, the people that are around us, how we treat them, how they treat us, where we're going to be for them, where they're going to be for us over time. And that's what ensures for longevity. That's what ensures for success over time. And I love this part of the health and well-being journey because it's like air. It's all around us. You can't see community. You can see the people, but you can't see community, but you can feel it like the wind. And if you sit back, and again, back to instincts, you've heard it on every episode, if you sit back instinctively and evaluate the wind, the breeze that is your community, is it a hurricane gale force wind because of the toxicity in there? Or is it a beautiful, calm, beachy breeze that makes you feel cool and collected and self-assured? This is the awareness we're looking for in the health and well-being journey. And it's going to be my pleasure to continue to speak about this over time. Till next time, cheers. Okay, everyone, that brings to a close another episode of the Super Self podcast series brought to you by Jaca Rare Sugar. Here, we're going to be helping you discover the truth for all things that surround good health and well-being. We'll be offering you statistical data, clinical trial information that has been evaluated and corroborated so that you can see for yourself that we say what we mean and we mean what we say. Now, while the Super Self series is brought to you technically by Jaca Rare Sugar, I don't care if you buy the sugar. I really don't. That's not what this is about. This is about operating as the conscience across the food and beverage industry, across the health and well-being industry, which includes supplements, fitness trainers, and the like. Our goal is to provide you with the stepping stones for your own research, where you can go out and corroborate the things that we say on your own. See for yourself what it means to find a good quality of life that fits in alongside your current lifestyle or your family's lifestyle. I think it's really going to be interesting and fascinating if we take this journey together. And once again, our goal is not just to provide you with data, but to keep it interesting. I've been living a clean lifestyle for 40 years now. I've been going to the gym for almost 45 years, eating clean for 40 years. And so we're going to have a ton of stories along the way about the foibles, the successes, and the failures, but we're also going to provide you with the information that you need to carry on and carry forward. Think about subscribing. We'd love it if you subscribe to us, pass this on to your friends. I think we've got a lot of edgy and interesting podcasts that are upcoming, and we certainly will look forward to any feedback that you want to provide. Until next time, cheers.